Hi guys, it's Andy, and today I'll be talking about the 2016 young adult novel, The Sidekicks. Now, I happened to find this book. It was going for about 20 cents or so. It was a library that was getting rid of all their old kind of stock and old editions of books and everything like that. And I picked it up and decided, okay, this might be interesting. This might be nice to read. And within the first page, I really liked the strong voice that I heard in it. The writer of this is a man named Will Kostakis, and the story is kind of split into three parts, each in first person, but each first person character is very different. It's basically something terrible happens to a young boy in his high school, and his three best friends have to adjust to that. But what's interesting is that the three best friends aren't actually friends with each other. It was like this person who this terrible thing happens to, he was the glue holding them together. So it's them about adjusting to life without their friend because of what happened to their friend, and how they then form, or perhaps don't form, bonds throughout the course of the novel, and how they react to life changing. As I said, it's split into three different parts. One's called The Swimmer, one's called The Rebel, and one's called The Nerd. And as you can probably tell from those slight titles, it's really fun what he does with the voice of each character, in terms of telling their stories about how they feel about the kind of event that kickstarts the novel, and how they feel about their own lives and the people in their lives. For example, the swimmer is dealing with aspects of his sexuality, and he's not sure if he can express that yet to friends and family, or if he can even step into himself, because he's looked at in such a way, being a athlete of high renown in his community, and what that would do to his standing. The rebel is someone who people think will always fail at life and always be a troublemaker, who comes from a family that is broken apart and disjointed, but yet this character has a lot of heart and really cares about his friends when he decides that you're a friend. And the nerd is quite great, and I'm glad that the nerd comes at the end of the book, because I think with the sections called The Swimmer and The Rebel, and the chapters don't interchange. It's you're all for one third of the book with one character, and from their point of view, then you're with the next character, and so on. And I think the nerd almost has the sweetest story, but told in a kind of interesting way. I think as a young adult myself, if I had read a book like this, and obviously it's aimed at young people in high school and in that age group, it would have been really comforting. Not necessarily because it's covering these elements about believing who you are and stepping into that. It's also covering the anxieties and, how should I say this, the fears you have about growing into yourself, going through that adolescent period. It's a very stressful time. It was stressful for me, and I relatively had it pretty easy compared to when I hear some of my friends' stories, or when I hear stories, you hear stories on the internet. It can obviously lead to bad repercussions. Now, it's set in Australia, written by an Australian author, but it doesn't have any of the stereotypical baggage that, saying that might imply. But it does feel Australian. I believe it's set in Sydney. I'm from Melbourne, so I don't know Sydney as well. But you could just see in the way characters not only spoke to each other, but the way they interacted. I think, and because all the characters are men, this is another point I want to raise. I think it also says something about masculinity in youth, and how that plays out amongst different types of young men. It doesn't cover all aspects of everybody or everyone's characters, but it does kind of get into the grit of their humanity, because it is ultimately a story about loss. It's a story about losing someone, and how do you go on with that, especially someone who was a foundation to your life and to your existence. Like sometimes you just can't see things coming. You can't see things that could change the rest of your life, could change the way you view the world, and change the way you think about other people and yourself. In terms of the way it's written, just so simple and nice and easy, but it has a lot of attitude to it. And I don't mean that in a kind of far out way, but you really know which character you're with as the story goes on. And I think that can be trickier than people think, especially with having such diverse characters in this. And I think Will Kostakis, I hope I'm saying that right, there, I think he might be Australian Greek. I think he's really got a great flavour for that and ability to do that. Yeah, well, I hope you check this out, The Sidekicks by Will Kostakis. Great, Kostakis? Kostakis. If you're Greek, let me know. But I think it's great to support Aussie authors as well, being here in Australia. It's always good them seeing good things and reading a really good piece of work as well. So if you like kind of what I do here, talking about books and movies and other stuff, please subscribe down below. I usually post every week or so, depending on how life is going. If you've got any recommendations for things I should read or movies I should watch, maybe even TV shows, because I'll probably start talking about that as well, feel free to just send me, drop a comment down below, and I'd be happy to kind of check something out, because I'm really in the mood for recommendations as well. So until next time, I hope everyone is well, and see you later.